The pounding on my front door was so loud, it felt like the whole frame would give way. It wasn't the knock of a neighbor borrowing sugar or a delivery dropping a parcel off. It was sharp, insistent, and laced with urgency. I rubbed the sleep from my eyes and glanced at the clock on my nightstand. 7:04 a.m. Peeking through the peephole, I saw two police officers standing on my porch, their uniforms crisp and their expressions unreadable. My heart skipped. I opened the door cautiously, wondering if I'd sleepwalked into a crime I didn't know about. The taller officer flipped open a notepad and looked at me with practiced neutrality. "Sir, we've been dispatched due to a report involving the destruction of evidence tied to an unauthorized pool installation. You're being accused of violating a court order regarding community property regulations." I blinked. "Hey, what?" The officer continued, reading from the pad. "A civil complaint has been filed against you by a Miss Patricia Sanderson, president of the Maple Ridge HOA. She claims you've installed a pool without proper approval, and are now attempting to conceal it." I must have looked like a malfunctioning robot, mouth agape, words buffering. "There's no pool," I finally managed. But the officer kept reading. "She has alleged you've caused over $10,000 in damages to surrounding property values and are endangering neighborhood safety by breaching zoning and aesthetic ordinances." The words struck like cold rain. And that's how I found myself at the heart of a suburban nightmare, dragged into a war I never signed up for, all over a pool that didn't exist. It had started just 3 weeks earlier, when I moved into my new home on Maple Ridge Drive. The street looked straight out of a real estate brochure: freshly mowed lawns, decorative mailboxes, and winding sidewalks shaded by leafy trees. I thought I'd found a quiet retreat from city chaos. I was wrong. I had barely unpacked when I noticed her, Patricia Sanderson. Short, tightly wound, with a clipboard clutched like a badge and a glare that could peel paint. She made daily rounds, stalking the sidewalks like a parole officer inspecting convicts. 1 week after move-in day, the letter came. It was on official HOA letterhead, the kind that tries to look more serious than it really is. "Violation of Section 12.4, unauthorized pool installation," it declared in aggressive bold print. I read it once, then twice. By the third reading I actually laughed, because it had to be a joke. But my backyard was just patchy grass, some overgrown daisies, and a hose coiled near the fence. I didn't even own a kiddie pool. I called the HOA office immediately, assuming it was a clerical mix-up. Patricia answered. Her tone suggested I'd just interrupted her preparing to negotiate world peace. I explained politely that I had no pool, never had. Her response was a laugh, dry and dismissive, the kind that says, "Oh, you poor naive soul." "I saw it myself," she said sharply. "During inspection. Don't play dumb. Would you like to come see for yourself?" I offered. "You've already covered it up with landscaping," she shot back. "I have photographs. Ignorance of HOA rules is no excuse." Then came the fines. Daily. $100 here, $200 there. Cease and desist letters started showing up. Notes were slipped under my door. Posts popped up on the community Facebook group warning about a reckless newcomer defying HOA values. Neighbors began avoiding eye contact. Some whispered. A few gave me pitying looks, the kind of glances you offer someone caught in a hurricane without an umbrella. Tom Bradley, who lived 2 doors down, offered the first real insight. "She once fined me $500 for having shutters that were the wrong shade of beige." He whispered like he was revealing a state secret. 2 weeks into the ordeal, a process server arrived with official court papers. Patricia had filed a lawsuit against me. $10,000 in damages, citing multiple violations, aesthetic disruption, and degradation of neighborhood property values. She even included a claim about mosquito infestations caused by alleged stagnant water sources in my yard. I sat that night, reading the complaint, my dinner growing cold. One photograph showed a shadow on my lawn, red circled as supposed evidence. Another showed my garden hose, which she labeled inlet piping. It was so absurd I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. The next morning, I stood in my backyard, documenting the emptiness with my phone. That's when I heard it, Patricia's shrill voice from the sidewalk, accusing me of destroying evidence. She called the police. Claimed I was operating heavy machinery. That I was digging to bury the pool and endangering the neighborhood. The officers showed up. Again. And again they found nothing. Just me holding a phone in my perfectly boring yard. They left with a warning, for Patricia this time, about abusing emergency services. That night, I knew it was time to lawyer up. Enter David Thornton, HOA specialist. Wore khakis and sneakers to court. Had the calm of a librarian but the mind of a chess grandmaster. He glanced through the complaint and exhaled, shaking his head with a tired smile. "She's done this before," he said. "She's a serial litigant." David filed a countersuit: harassment, defamation, and abuse of process. He also hired a licensed surveyor who spent half a day measuring every inch of my yard. The report confirmed: no pool. No evidence of one. No construction. No fill-in. Nothing. But what we uncovered next was the smoking gun. Patricia had filed over 40 lawsuits in her time as HOA president. Most settled quietly. Homeowners too tired or poor to fight had given in, paid a few thousand just to make her go away. Her pattern was clear, and legally damning. The court hearing landed on a thick, humid Thursday. The courtroom was packed. Not because of me but because the neighborhood had turned up in droves. There was electricity in the air, a collective hope that maybe, just maybe, justice was finally coming. Patricia entered like she was walking a red carpet, flanked by two equally uptight-looking HOA members. She wore a severe black suit and her ever-present scowl. Her confidence radiated, almost to the point of smugness. Her case was dramatic, full of charts, blurry photos blown up on poster board, and passionate speeches about community integrity. She pointed to the red circle around my hose and called it subterranean infrastructure. She even used my slightly high water bill as evidence. David waited, patient and polite. Then our turn. He presented the survey. Crystal clear. High-resolution photos. Years of satellite images showing my yard exactly as it had always been. He explained the increased water use, my new sprinkler system, filed and approved with HOA records. Then he walked the judge through Patricia's litigation history. The judge began massaging his temples. Deliberation took under 10 minutes. Verdict: case dismissed. With prejudice. Countersuit granted. Patricia was ordered to pay $15,000 in damages and all legal fees. The court issued a restraining order. She was banned from coming within 50 feet of my home. And then the kicker: the judge delivered a speech on the damage of frivolous lawsuits. He advised the HOA board to seriously re-evaluate Patricia's position. She went pale. 3 weeks later, the HOA held an emergency meeting. The room overflowed. Neighbors lined up to share stories, tales of petty fines, bullying, intimidation. The board voted. Unanimously. Patricia was removed. She stormed out, kicking a chair and muttering about appealing everything. Months passed peacefully. The whispers stopped. The Facebook group relaxed. Kids played again in front lawns. Then one evening, walking my dog past Patricia's house, I saw something that made me stop. There, in her backyard, was a large hole. Next to it, several unopened boxes. The labels were clear: Premium Pool Kit, Deluxe Edition. A shipping receipt fluttered from the fence, snagged in the wind. I laughed out loud. The woman who sued me for a pool I didn't have was building her own, without HOA approval. I took a photo. Sent it to David. He responded quickly: the board's already aware. She didn't submit any permits. Soon, Patricia was called to another hearing. She claimed the pool was medicinal. That the rules didn't apply to former board members. That we were all conspiring against her. The board was unmoved. They fined her $20,000. Ordered her to halt construction. She refused. The board escalated. Filed formal charges for code violations. The final court hearing was swift. The same judge. He remembered her. This time there was no showmanship. No theatrics. He sentenced her to 200 hours of community service and $30,000 in fines. As the gavel fell, Patricia crumbled. Tears, real ones this time. The weight of her own schemes finally crashing down. I watched, not out of spite but with relief. Justice finally had come to Maple Ridge. And all it took was a pool I never had.